Hey guys, welcome to a moment of sanity. In today's videos, we are here to talk about romantic relationships. How do we know whether we found the one? How do we know whether our relationship is healthy? All these questions. I want to give a general vision about your relationship and the right way to see whether your partner is the true one or not. Okay? So, basically, we need to define what is a romantic relationship, right? Because now in our culture, these things are not clear, you know. So good. Do you know why they are not clear? Because we have hookup culture, we have friends with how to say benefits and all this stuff, and people tend to assume the responsibility of a relationship way after, you know. So I'm talking here about two people that has the intention to find a partner to live their lives together for the rest of their lives. This is the type of people that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the people that just want to play a little bit. I'm not talking about the people that just want to be with this partner for 1 or 2 years and see what happens. I'm talking about two people that is kind of like, I don't know whether you will be the one that I want or not, but I'm here to discern. I'm here to see whether you are or not. Okay, so it's good to say this so to not create any confusion. Okay, so first of all, you yourself, you need to have the intention to find the partner of your life. You know, I might be speaking really quickly. It's because I want to condense the same video, this thing, but if I don't have the time, I don't have the time. And I get excited talking about this because it's a topic that I love a lot, you know. So first of all, you need to have that intention, because in my opinion, girlfriends or boyfriends are made to disappear. Either they disappear by them becoming your wife or becoming your husband, okay, or they disappear in the sense that you broke up, okay. They're made for that. That kind of relationship is just made for you to know the person, you know. And if you are not pointing towards that direction, you're just wasting your time. You're not actually learning much from this relationship. Okay? Very good. So you're not learning much from this relationship. And after that, after knowing what I'm talking about, we need to see what are the requirements for us in a person in order to know whether this person is or not a person that will stay with us for the rest of our lives, you know. And if you have religion, you know how heavy this decision is, you know, because it's really for the rest of your life, you know. Like in my case, in Catholicism, we don't have divorce. Like divorce doesn't exist in Catholicism, you know. So taking that kind of decision with a person, you need to be really conscious of what you're doing, right? And that's the thing. So because this question, because this action is so important, we need to be able to recognize whether the fundamental things, they are all hold together, you know. Whether they're all hold together. You can do a bunch of personality tests to see the compatibility of you guys, to see whether you guys fit with each other according to your personality. But because personality changes with time, you don't know whether, you know, the person will go out or not. So I really prefer analyzing the people as a human being. What are the traits that a human being should have, so we can recognize whether this human being is prepared for marriage, and not just prepared, whether this person at least has the intention to it, you know. So many times what happened is, sorry for my watch because it's annoying me but sometimes, so many times what happened is that when we look to personality traits, we look to a person, we don't know where to look, like I was talking. And sometimes we care too much about superficial stuff. And most of the personality traits, they are superficial in general, okay? Maybe in your case in a specific, they are not superficial. But that's another conversation. I'm talking about in general. You know what you should be looking. So examples of traits that will be superficial. She's shy, insecure, has this or that mental illness or something like that, you know. These are all superficial traits. You know, these are all superficial traits because they can change with time. And these traits, they're easier to change, and they not just change. Sometimes you will not change it because you didn't have the possibility to be helped or have some real guidance in life or real counseling in life. But at least they can be integrated in a broader meaning of the person's life, you know, and making the suffering bearable. So you find a meaning for it, like Viktor Emil Frankl would say. So these personality traits, they're superficial, and I see many people caring too much about the superficial traits, height, whether he's fat, his routine, all this stuff, you know. And usually we care too much about the superficial traits because our imperfections, because our needs, I would call some of these needs disordered, okay? Our needs are not being met in the way that we thought that it should be met. But sometimes our needs, they are delusional, you know? They are not really needs. They are trauma, they are unsolved stuff that came from our past, and we don't know that they are. You got what I mean? We don't know that they are. We didn't deal with it well, or we are not even conscious of the problem. So many of this specific stuff is just your heart that is inclined to stuff that shouldn't be inclined. It's feeling pain when you shouldn't feel pain, and etc. You know, and I know that this sounds broad, but in order for me to explain to you the heart and how it works and why I say you shouldn't feel pain and all this stuff, I will need to make another video about that, you know? I have another video in my channel about dealing with emotions. So go there and see it, okay? I will try to put the link below. If I forget, I forget, because I'm tired. I'm tired and busy. But these are superficial personality traits that most of the time is just because our heart keeps bothering us. You know, so one of the traits that could help, even with your heart that is in bothering you all the time with your stuff, one of the traits is every single relationship, loving relationship, needs to be grounded in truth. There is no loving relationship that if it's not grounded in truth. Love by definition is wanting truth for the other, you know? Love by definition is wanting truth for the other. So the thing is, if you are not willing to change and the other person not willing to change, of course you have some values that are deeper values and etc. But if you're not willing to change for the other and to some extent, or questioning your values, being open for the other person to question you about why you behave this way, why you say this or why you say that, you will not create the environment for the next step, that is the friendship. You got what I mean? You will not create the environment. And then someone could argue, Daniel, I know many couples that they believe in different stuff. They even vote for different presidents. They even have different religions. Yes, my friend. But imagine that you're making you're doing a sculpture. A sculpture? Imagine that you have a rock and you will make a art out of this rock. That's a better way to put it. If half of the rock looks like one thing and half of the rock looks like another thing, this relationship is easier to break. I'm not saying that there is no exceptions. What I'm just saying is, if you're building this now, why not making it solid, right? Why having that freaking risk to break the relationship in the future, having all the damage that if you're atheist, if you're nihilist, if you're from another religion, doesn't matter. If you break up, having the emotional, pain that, and also questioning your life everything that you were planning in future with this person. You get what I mean? Question, having this sort of pain, why having that, you know? I prefer being way more grounded in reality and negotiating the values and seeing myself, also my blind spots, and negotiating with the other person my values, than having two different values, being distant in some sense, and the person in the end of the day doesn't really understand you. And when tough stuff comes, it will be hard for you guys to be together. Do you get what I mean? Because the belief system is way too different. Too different. The deep beliefs are too different. You know, the core values are too different. And this will make like two different rocks. You get what I mean? And to separate is really easy. So being open to truth is what will give you the possibility even to have intimacy. And say, what I'm talking, the type of intimacy that I'm saying is the emotional intimacy type. You will be more prone to open. You will be more like, I cannot talk like this with my parents. I cannot talk like this with my cousins. I cannot question this kind of stuff with the people around you. But with my girlfriend, with my boyfriend, I can do that. Because we have an environment that truth is the middle. You know, it's interesting because many Catholics, many Christians will say, your relationship needs to be grounded in Christ. You know, and in my code, in the code that I came out, they say this in a bunch of different ways and never explains what is being Christ. Christ says, I am the truth. So it needs to be grounded in truth. Being grounded in truth is being grounded in Christ. You know, and both of you needs to be open to change for truth, not for the other, for truth. And changing for truth, what changing for truth means that you two will be more and more acting accordingly to reality. And acting according to reality means acting according to your nature. And acting according to your nature means being more happy. Okay? Being more happy. There is no people that is acting according to their nature that is not happy. The more that you are acting according to your nature, you feel more peaceful, more happy, and more joyful. You know? So having depression and all this stuff, you know, for a period of time is normal, but that's another conversation. The more that you're acting according to your nature, the more happy you are. And this is not a Christian concept. This is Aristotle's. This is the Romans. You got what I mean? This is the Chinese. No one will question that acting according to your nature would make you, you know, less happy at that time. Just in modernity, people, you know, whatever. But do you understand why? You guys will be more integrated in reality. And this will give the possibility for the second step that I was saying, for a real friendship. And like in another video that I said, what is friendship and the three types of friend, of course your romantic relationship needs to be grounded in Eden, value, and Eden knowledge. What that means? Wanting the same things and rejecting the same things. Maybe in the beginning you don't have that. Maybe in the beginning you don't have that. Maybe in the beginning you have two different backgrounds. Maybe even two different religions. Maybe you have a different belief system. My girlfriend was like that. My girlfriend was totally atheist, you know, and totally leftist actually too. And she changed me in many ways, and I changed her in many ways. Nowadays we go together to church. You get what I mean? This because we were open to talk about our belief system and challenge them, you know, and this will happen, you know, like we'll glue together. And little by little we start to reject the same stuff and want the same stuff. Do you get what I mean? And by that, the rock, the fundamental of the house for a marriage, for a long-lasting relationship, if you don't believe in marriage or etc. I'm talking, what I mean by marriage is a long-lasting relationship that you made the decision of your life to never leave the person, you know, can happen. After that, a relationship like that can happen. See how beautiful it is. A relationship that is grounded in truth and is grounded in a true friendship, wanting the good of the other, wanting that the other achieve happiness And suddenly when you have this kind of inclinations towards the other, your degree of egocentrism decreases because you're caring about the other. And you know that telling the truth to the other is important. Telling with compassion, not using the truth, to hit the other. You got what I mean? Like many people do that. In religion, we see that so much. And don't get me wrong. You got what I mean? Friendship is a really, really important step. And in this way, you will be able to cultivate that kind of intimacy that just sex cannot give you. Just sex cannot give you that type of intimacy. Actually, making sex, I truly believe that making sex in the beginning with a totally stranger that you don't know might even influence your judgment towards the person. Because sex is an intimate act by itself. You're seeing another human being naked. You're seeing all the imperfections of another human being. Doesn't matter if you're desensitized with that or not. Doesn't matter if you are, if you see sex just as a game and etc. And the other human being is seeing you also. And not just that. There are stuff that you are afraid doing in the real world, and you just express when you're making sex. Actually, the way that you make sex express a lot about your personality, your struggles, your inner desires, what you want to be in life, and etc. You get what I mean? It expresses a lot, and sometimes you get in debt. Instead of fixing your life, you just create a coping mechanism or whatever problem that I have, I go to sex. And it's a really subtle mechanism. It's a really subtle mechanism that you don't get it because, many of our problems, we are not conscious of them yet. We don't know how to formulate them well. So we just feel the pain and we just go to sex and we have the satisfaction. So to detach to the person will be really, really hard. Especially for men. If you want to know whether that's the girl of your life, don't make sex with her until marriage, until you made a decision. And especially for girls too, if you want to know whether that guy just wants your body or he wants your personality, he wants this kind of friendship that I'm talking about, don't let him make sex with you. Don't sell yourself that cheap. Girls, you have more power in your hands than you think. You got what I mean? Don't give that to the guy after the third dating and just because you guys are together. Just because of a moment of passion. Many girls nowadays, they believe that just because they are in a long-term relationship, they can have sex with their partners. I would argue that for a man, it's really more it's more advantageous to have a long-term relationship in where you can make sex with this girl in a consistent basis, and after, when you get older and other girls will look at you, you just throw her on the trash, then being there in every day in your life trying to hunt for sex every single day. Don't underestimate psychopaths, don't underestimate Machiavellians and narcissists. You got what I mean? Girls, protect yourself. You got what I mean? So I'm a truly believer that sex before marriage helps in this discernment if you want to take life serious. And that would explain why we have so many divorces nowadays. First, because our society is not in favor of this kind of relationship. It's just in favor of, not deep relationships, but superficial relationships that don't last. See the structure of our education system. Every year you change the class, and then after 1 year another one. It's really hard to make friends, and with internet, even harder. You got what I mean? So try in general to summarize the video. There are two things that you should be looking and constant looking in your relationship. Am I free here to talk about the truth with compassion, of course, in my relationship? Am I able to do that little by little, of course, with compassion, look into the situation of the other? Am I to talk about truth, express myself, and etc.? If not, This is in my opinion, this is a huge red flag already. Second of all, what is my mindset and the other person's mindset? The other person's one is really interested to know me, to be my friend, to be closer to me, so we can become one day one, so we can become one day true friends, Eden Valley and Eden Nolan. This is a quote, I think, from St. Augustine or St. Thomas Aquinas. Wanting the same things and ignoring the same things. These are true friends. Is this person will be my brother in army or not? My sister in army or not? Are we seeking the highest that we can be? Are we or not? Right? And these two aspects are the fundamentals of a healthy romantic relationship. Of course, we have a lot of details. Of course, we have way more to talk about this. We have way more to talk about sex. We have way more to talk about intimacy. And we have way more about talking about, seeking the truth and being truthful in a relationship. Yes, of course. But these things, you can miss it. These are the essence of every single loving relationship. And even if you saw couples that have been 20 years with each other and they don't have these two aspects, first of all, their relationship, if they had these two, could be way more happier. Second of all, in my opinion, if they find a huge crisis, it's really likely for them to give up. Especially in our society that divorce is a thing, and many people around you would encourage you to divorce in the first big challenge that you have. Okay? So, see you guys, subscribe to the channel, please leave the like button and leave in the comments what you think, please, because you help me with your feedback and help me to be more truthful, okay? And give me more ideas for the videos, okay? See you guys.